Hi, I just wanted to let you know about a couple of things that are going to be emphasized on this channel in the next couple of months. And I'm doing this because there's two very important things going on in my world, in my life, in the next couple of months. One is a summer seminar that's right around the corner. It's going to start May 20th. And then the other is I'm about to see the publication of my book, which has been a long time coming, by Wipf Stock later on this summer, hopefully. It's called The Gap in God's Country, A Longer View on Our Culture Wars. So both of those things are going to kind of dominate my mind in the next couple of months. And both of them are things that I would love for you to pick up on, do, get my book. And so, what I want to do in the next couple of months on the channel is give you little previews and insights into the subject matter of both of those things, both my summer seminar, which is going to be on Plato, as well as my book. So first of all, let me just say a little bit about the plan of the seminar and give you an idea of what I'll be talking about on this channel in the next, say, month. So I've started a page on the Maurin Academy website, and I'll put a link to it in the show notes below. But the full title of the class is More Real Than the World, Ancient Insights into the Nature of God. This is a multi-purpose class. You'll be able to learn a lot about Plato and Plato's influence on Western culture through his influence on early Christianity. The influence of Aristotle on Christianity really happened more in the later Middle Ages. So the Platonic influence was particularly strong in the development of early Christianity, and through that into the development of Western culture. You can see the dates there are going to be May 20th, 27th, and then June 3rd and 10th. And those are Monday nights, U.S. Central Time, 7 p.m. So what I want to do is just take you through some of the ideas that we will be discussing in the class. And what I plan to do on this channel on public videos is to read some of the selections that I'm going to use in this class and at least briefly talk about them here so that you get an idea of why this is an important topic. I think Plato is just fascinating, and I think we would all be better off if we knew a little bit more about what Plato really thought. And the passages that I'm choosing are some of the most intriguing and kind of mysterious passages in the Platonic dialogues. So you'll see there the tentative schedule. May 20th, we'll start out by talking about Platonic idealism and the relationship between the intelligible or the world of the forms and the material world. This is a major concept we can get at through selections in books 2 and 7 of the Republic. And it'll focus particularly on that allegory of the cave and what Plato is doing with the image of the sun and its relationship to the form or ideal of the good. And then on May 27th, we'll discuss Plato on human nature and the distinction between true justice and conventional or worldly justice. And this is important because it shows us how Plato applied his doctrine of the forms to things that are human, right? Things that are social, through the ideal justice, the development of ideal justice, and how it compares with human justice. Again, we'll be using selections from Book 2 of Plato's Republic primarily for that. And I do plan on posting for the class these selections so that people can read them ahead of time. But I'll also be reading them in these public videos. And then on June 3rd, we get into the ladder of love concept, which we draw from Plato's Symposium, especially the tale of Diotima of Mantinea in that dialogue, which is at the very end of the dialogue. In this particular week, we'll focus on Platonic love. What does that really mean? Why was it an important concept? And how Diotima, the character, uses this image of the ladder of love, or the progress towards love, to move from the physical world and the world of human romantic relationships and other relationships to the actual, realm of ideas, and eventually the sort of beatific vision of the absolute good, to the highest good, which fully transcends merely human love. So this is a very interesting dialogue and a very interesting concept. And I've always found it very helpful for understanding the relationship between human love and whatever we want to call it, love divine. And then on June 10th, we have a session on Plato's proofs of God's existence, which kind of builds on an insight from the first session where, I will discuss that Plato very much questioned polytheism. But in this one, we'll look directly at a proof of God's existence in the Laws, Book 10. And we will discuss what Plato thought about the eternality of the human soul. He differed from many of the people of his day in this regard about the whether the average person's soul was immortal, and if so, how could that be? And we'll also look at the myth of the islands of the blessed and Tartarus in Plato's Gorgias. So I love all these passages. I'm super excited about this course, and like I said, in the public videos that I'm going to do in the next few weeks, I will be taking a selection. I will read it for you. I will then probably ask some questions of it, just to kind of give you an idea of where I'm headed in this class. I mean, I haven't fully even thought out exactly what I'm going to do in the class, but I've got my outline now. I've got my intention of explaining Plato's influence on the development of Western culture via early Christianity. That's going to help people understand a whole lot, I would think, about whether it's Christian theology. This might be of particular interest to people who have an interest in ressourcement theology, which is something that Spencer and I have discussed on Dustbowl Diatribes with various folks, and which we're dealing with in our communal reading group with the Maurin Academy. Uh, but it's going to interest people who just love Plato. And it's going to interest people who might want a critique of modern relativism, Nietzschean nihilism, right? I mean, there's a lot of reasons why learning more about Plato is really important. Okay, and then the only other thing I wanted to mention is pretty important to me, and hopefully many of you will want to get this book. It took me over 2 years to write this, and I was slowed down by certain events in my life, but as is often the case. But this was a real labor of love. I consider it um, one of the books that I actually really wanted to write, and it does build on the knowledge in my other books, and particularly the book on ideological possession. But this one is particularly dear to me. It draws from a lot of different sources and a lot of different perspectives to try to explain why we have such a deep, sharp political and cultural division in this country. And as you might expect, I deal with things such as deep-seated economic and technological trends, psychological trends. I deal quite a bit with religion and the divisive nature of contemporary American Christianity, and how those types of things can actually be addressed. Because as you know, if you've listened to the channel for a while, I don't think, and I don't think most of my colleagues think, that our culture wars are caused by bad people or just by rudeness or by social media. Many things contribute, right? But there are deep underlying forces at work that have pushed us as a society into this situation. So I spend a lot of time in this book looking at it from all kinds of angles. I particularly deal with the rural urban dimension of this, but that is dealt with not as a fundamental source of conflict, but as a result of deeper underlying shifts in our economy, for instance, as well as in our yeah, in our spiritual lives, right? So I don't know if I can tell you that there's a particular emphasis, right? Because I'm drawing from multiple theoretical perspectives, including political psychology and political theology. I am not, as you know, I am not somebody who hews to one school of thought. I try to look for truth wherever it lies. Uh, and so, and this book is going to be published by Wipf Stock. I'm hoping that it will be published this summer, or at least in very early fall at the latest. It's there now. I'm completely done with it, for better or worse. So when it comes to this channel, especially after I get done with my summer seminar, I'm going to turn towards doing the same sort of thing with my book. I'm going to be reading small, selections from it and talking about why I thought that particular point was important to make and kind of, talking about how it applies to our current conflicts. So between those two, that's going to take up a great deal of, I think, this spring and summer. Of course, I'm always going to feel free to drop in some other content, as I see fit. And there will always be Dustbowl diatribes. Once a month at least, we're doing a Dustbowl diatribes, and then we do a Secret Grange episode for patrons only. So if you're a patron, you get 2 episodes. But anyway, yeah, like I wanted you to know where I was headed, and hopefully you'll be excited about both of these things and participating in whatever way you can.